Hello everyone, this is Leeway Model. In the 1990s and 2000s, Spectrum was Bachmann USA's tip-top quality stuff. One of such model is right here, that is the General Electric 44 tonner. This was a very popular industrial shunter in the USA, and one of the reasons why it was so popular was in terms of how many people was needed to operate it, which was one because it was under 45 tons. Now this model was tip-top, cutting edge and everything when it came out, but it actually is a couple of years old now. So what Bachmann did, they've re-released it. So during a train show I was able to acquire two of these for a very reasonable price of $25 each. And if you've noted, both of those locomotives actually have DCC on board. They've got a decoder, like a little computer inside of them that operates them. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to open them up, show them to you, and explain a bit about DCC because we've never seen it on the channel, and I have actually quite a few of my models which are equipped with DCC. So let me take this out. The first one we're going to look at will be that one right here. So I was able to acquire both of these in a train show recently. If you want to see what else I got at the train show, I've got a link over there in the corner detailing that. So the first product code that we're going to look at is this one here, item number 62206. It's a General Electric 44 tons switcher loco with a DCC chip in it from Boston and Maine. Number is 114. So I was able to acquire this for $25, which by the way is even cheaper than buying just the DCC decoder alone. Okay. So let's take a look at the documentation first. So what do we have in there? Well, we start off with this here. We've got an exploded view. As you can see, although now qualified as a budget model, this used to be a super detailed model, so there's actually quite a few parts in there. So on this side here, it explains you what is a DCC socket or a DCC chip in this case, and the type of possibilities it gives you. So other than that, what we've got some warranty paperwork saying that it was warranted for 1 year back then. Nothing on the side. And a registration paper here if you wanted to register the product. So I'm gonna open it up, then we're gonna look at the other one also. Okay, the second item I got was item number 62203. It's a General Electric shunter also with a DCC decoder here. It is painted but unlettered. What does unlettered mean? Well, it does not have the colors of any railway operator. Usually these were like rentals. So because they're the exact same model, we won't have to look at the paperwork on this one, so I can already skip that. Okay, so if I compare all of those three here, Well, obviously you can see that it's the exact same tooling. We might have a couple of difference in the lamps here. When I'm gonna do the close-up, you will see them. Let me just try to see how much they weigh. So if I turn this on, so the old one here, the Spectrum one, we're at 138 grams now. If we're taking one of the newer one, it's 132 grams, so about 5 or 6 grams less, give or take. And this one is 131. Now I would expect those two to be very similar. This one here originally was not DCC, however, it is possible to manually fit a DCC decoder in it, and it was done for this one. So let's start off with the black one here. A Boston and Maine livery. So in the case of this model, it was operated by one of the pretty popular railway operator. Usually they are blue, but this is probably an older livery. So what do we have? Well, first of all, we've got some lamps at the end here. We also have, I don't know if you can see this, yeah, looks like you can. We have some equipment here to facilitate coupling and decoupling of these on the real life model. We've got 2 knuckle couplers. These are unfortunately not metal, they're plastic, but they do have a little spring here, which is a lot better than the plastic ones. So beside this, what we have a pretty good finish. It looks like there's some oil on it, but just by rubbing it off, it goes away, so I don't think it's a production issue. We do have some nice glazing, pretty good logo here, very well printed. Lots of molded details, all the compartments, handles, hinges, but looks like there's also quite a few separately applied details, like the horn here, the wipers. In terms of a steeple cab model, I think it looks pretty good. It reminds me of the Janus shunter. So the other side is pretty identical. We have a little minifigure here. No interior detail. As you can see, there's a couple of resistors here, and that's the microcomputer I was telling you about, that decoder that we see. But it's, you know, it's pretty well hidden, and the fact that there's actually somebody in there hides it pretty well. So in terms of mechanism, what do we have? Yes, we have the DCC on board logo that controls the locomotive. We have what appears to be two powered bogies, and beside this, all of the wheels looks like they are picking up, so that should makes it a pretty reliable locomotive. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's take a look at the green one now. Now the green one, it's unlettered, but it's not unpainted. If you look closely here, there is some markings about different equipments and, you know, danger vault, and there is stuff written there. It's just that it is unlettered, so it means it's not assigned to any particular railway operator. If you want to put your own personal railway operator on it, you can. If you want to leave it like this, pretending it's a rental, you also can. However, a rental will probably have like a number of some sort to differentiate it also. What we note also, the paint on it is actually pretty crisp, but all the different colored stuff are separately applied, so it does not have the same level of detail in the livery as the Boston and Maine one. However, it does look pretty good. So again, it's a lot easier to see now, that equipment to uncouple the wagon here. because it's a different color. Very nice yellow on the handrails there, and some very tiny lettering written. And our little guy here hiding also the DCC decoder. Again, no cap detail, but yeah, the guy in there gives a pretty good illusion that there is. So if you want to compare it to the older model there, the older model does feel a bit heavier. If I have it in my hands here, we can note that the paint is not as crisp as on the Boston and Maine one, but overall it looks very good. Also, the lamp is slightly different. Now this one here, it does have metal coupler. However, I bought this one used, and I do think that these were swapped, because originally from the year this is, and you can also see how much dust it has on it, this might have not been the original couplers. It could have been the old McPherson couplers that we don't see on new models anymore. Everything's now knuckle coupler. If you're looking inside there, you see a bunch of wires, right? Now, what I wanted to say is that this model was originally DC only. However, somebody somewhere digitized it, and they, if you want my opinion, they did a pretty good job. So whoever did this, yeah, good job, because I think it looks even better than the very obvious resistors that we see in that cap there compared to this here. It's slightly more hidden, and it works pretty good, by the way. So now let's talk about a bit about DCC. So Bachmann has a very introductory DCC controller that they call the Easy Command Control Center there. Now this has been, as of 2024, discontinued, and they have a new model that just have more functions in it. So what this allows you to do, it allows you to set, if you want, a specific number, to assign a number to each and every one of these, and with the number assigned, you can select that particular number and control only that locomotive. So you can have basically all of these on the layout, and if you decide you want to move the black one, you just select the number you assign to it, and only that one is used. Now I have a bit of a mixed feeling about DCC. I think that for train clubs, and obviously when there's a lot of people on a big layout, it makes complete sense. But I think that just for a quick oval like what you've seen me doing in my video, it's a bit of an overkill. Also, you're gonna notice that the equipment required is a bit more complex than what we're used to, with where it's just a simple controller. But again, as soon as your layout reach a certain point, you almost have no choice but to switch, or it becomes a very a very skillfully made, logic-driven, regular DC control. So if you have any opinion about DCC versus DC, I know this is a bit of a big discussion topic in the hobby. You can put them in the comments, and I'll read them, and I can see the advantage in both having it and not having it, and yeah, I think it could be an interesting way of discussing amongst each other. So what I'm gonna do, I've already set up a track. I'm gonna bring all of those 3 locomotives over there, and then we'll see what we can do with those 3. We'll be right back. Okay, so I've set up the first locomotive on the track here. Just for reference, what we will be using today for the setup, first of all, we've got Bachmann nickel silver easy track ovals right here. Then we are using the instead of the regular DC controller, we're going to use the Roco Z21 DCC controller. This is plugged to a wireless router, and what I'm going to be using to power all of that stuff up is the Vitoman Jump 600X, which I already reviewed previously. Portable power station. So as you see, there's a wireless router right over there. The last thing I'm going to be using is a cheapo tablet, right? This one here, which is the app that is used to control this. So the first step that I need to do is I need to validate that that locomotive over there can be controlled. So to be able to do that, first of all, I'm going to go to programming. Okay. Secondly, I'm going to go to address programming, and I'm going to try to read what is written on it. So now when we are doing this, the locomotive moves, it tells you that something is going on. So what happened here, it tells me that it's currently set to address number 3. Address number 3 is the default address. Obviously, if I have one locomotive, I can move it all day with address number 3. There won't be any problem with it. However, if I put more than one locomotive, you may want to change this address, as you just want to give the command to one single locomotive. So what I'm going to do, and what I usually do, as most people, if you remember correctly, there's a number right on the side of that locomotive, the running number. So in this case, the running number is 114. So I'm going to type 114 and select right. Now the locomotive is going to move a bit, and yep, that's it. Now it is set to address 114. So let me try another locomotive and look at which address it is. Okay, so same. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna press on read again. So the locomotive is gonna move a bit. So this one is set to number 50, which is exactly the number written on the side of it. So I have locomotive 114, locomotive 50, and then my third locomotive, it is currently unlettered. I'm gonna leave it at 3 because otherwise, I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna put a running number at some point in the future on that one. So now all my different locomotives have a different address. I can technically put all of them on that oval here, and then if I do my thing correctly, none of them should hit each other. Okay, so what I did, I just finished programming everything inside of my tablet. So if I'm looking at which vehicle I have right now, I've programmed all my 3 vehicles that I have here. Now, if you want to know how does that work once this is all done, well, we have to press on the play button here, and I can control 2 different locomotives at the same time. So I basically just select which one I want to control, and then from that point, if you look right now, I have this one, that's a Great Northern, and the unlettered one selected right now. So if I just increase the speed, well, that's how I can do it, right? And as you've seen, both of them, they were going in a different direction. So all of these locomotives are working completely independent from each other. So what I can do, I can set them to going a certain speed. I find that one is going too fast, I can slow it down slightly. I can even reverse it like this. So this is the very, very good side of DCC. Everything is controlled independently. You can have access to different functions. Right now, all the lights are turned on, unfortunately, because of the way the cowl vents are made. You can't see them from this angle. So there's a lot of enjoyable things you can do with DCC. I just haven't had much use of DCC while I was at home here. Because, you know, when you have a small layout like this, it adds a level of complexity which I'm not exactly sure that you're interested in having. One interesting thing I would like to show you right now is that right now I have both the Great Norton and the unlettered one. Like, I have those two which are selected. They do not have the same settings put in. It can either be because these are different hardware inside of them, which would explain why with the same settings they would behave differently. Like the Great Norton has a much older engine and also a different brand of decoder compared to the two other ones which both have a Bachmann decoder in it. Couple of other nice things that DCC can bring you. You can have sound. Although none of these locomotives are equipped with sound, some other locomotives are, and unfortunately the price of sound locomotive and sound decoders is pretty steep. So unless this is really a feature that you're interested in having, it's difficult to justify for the price it is. Like, just to give you an example, a locomotive with sound or without sound can cost twice as much. So if we were to have an accident, something to note with DCC, you always have an emergency stop, like right on my app, it's right here. So if I press this button, everything stops. And in this case, mine flashes. So if I actually press again on it, all the previous commands that were sent to those little computers inside the locomotive, they all are resumed. So let me just try something here. I'm going to try to reverse all of them one by one. There you go. Some other features you can add with DCCs, you can set you can program the little chips to give you a sense of inertia, to simulate the fact that it's pulling a heavy train, so when you brake it, it doesn't brake like if you just turn the switch off. It takes some time for it to come to a full stop. Obviously, those one here that you're seeing right now, none of this has been configured inside of them, but this is a good feature that you can have with DCC. So, on that note, what do I think about the 44-ton switcher from Bachmann, and how do the newer model compares with the old one? Let's wrap this up. So, what do I think about the Bachmann 44-ton shunter? Well, first of all, let me remind you, I paid these $25. Now, these are used price, I understand, but if in 2024 you can still find some of these for those price, it is a very good sign. So if people are on a budget, you can go get used. There is still some good deals out there, eBay, not one of them. But if you go to train shows, sometimes you will find some people, just getting rid of certain stuff that they have too much. If we look at the old one right here, okay, there is, I would say, over 90% of it which is identical to the new one. So the big difference that I've seen, other than the dust that you can see over here, the lamp is a bit different, and also the way that you would maintain it is a bit different. If you look, this base keeper plate right here is completely hidden, as opposed to one of the newer one which has some exposed cogs. This is both good and bad. This is good for maintenance because it's a lot easier to oil it, but this is bad as whereas you see, I was running on easy tracks on my carpet right here, and if on your layout there is any dust, any hair, any loose particle, they can get on those gears quite a bit easier than on the one which are covered. Now, in terms of performance, as you've seen, they all run pretty well. Like I was saying, even the old one right here, although it requires a bit more power, it's not the first time that we've seen that older model do require a bit more power. All of these had no problem on the track. Now, in terms of tracting efforts, what you can expect for this is very similar between the new one and the old one. I didn't want to put any cars for that little oval there because even with 3 locomotive, I was sort of playing with fire a bit, trying to control them independently. Now, how much do I think this is worth? Well, if you're looking right now, you can buy these for $150. At that price, I'm talking about Canadian dollar here, not US dollars. At that price, I think it's a bit on the expensive side, especially considering the fact that I paid $24 for these. But just to put things into perspective, if I was to buy one of these, or even better, one of these, the older one, and I was going to put a decoder in it to enable it to have all those digital command control, the DCC computer that is in there, it would actually cost me more to buy the decoder itself, which if you're looking at the very cheap one, you're not gonna find anything below $30 shipped at your house, and that's probably even US dollars. I haven't checked on the Canadian market recently for DCC decoders because I didn't need any. Well, you might as well buy one of these used at that price, because it didn't even pay the price of the decoder that's in there. Now, about the model itself, would it look out of place on a modern layout? I don't think so. The big difference that I've seen between those two is basically the lining. If I just compare the lining between the old one here, which is a bit more fuzzy, versus the new one, which is very, very crisp. Geez, I still have some of that nasty oil on it, but yeah, it's gone now. Okay, so that's one of the difference. But even if you get an old one on the modern layout, it's not gonna look out of place. I think it's a pretty good model overall. And I'd like to know your opinion. Do you have any of those 44 tons shunter or switchers, if you're more used to that term? If you do have, let me know in the comments. I'd be interested in knowing. What do you think also about the, those DCC technologies versus the regular DC one, which is, one train per track, and you put power, train goes forward. This requires a bit more of work, as you've seen. I can see arguments for both, but I'd like to know your opinion. So on that note, this was Leeway Model. I hope everyone enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Leeway Model out.